Hello, everyone. Today's microlearning is on how to achieve all of your goals and dreams with accountability partners with Albana, Tika, and Maureen, Helene, Kennedy, Paynes. And I know sometimes being as a solopreneur, if you're starting something from scratch, it can get a little bit lonely, right? And I think one of the biggest disservice we have as a society, or especially in the US society, which is a little bit different than other parts like in Asia, where we really focus on that whole notion of the succeeding on your own, right? The self-made man or woman. And I think that's a disservice because no one really does it alone. And I think this is why today's microlearning on how you can really achieve your goals with accountability partners with Albana and Marie Helene is really powerful. So I think we have all done or been a part of an accountability partnership at some point in our lives, whether we knew it or not. Think about when you were in elementary or high school or junior high, where you had maybe a group project, or you wanted to run the marathon, and so you had a running partner, or you joined Road Runners because you needed that accountability. And so I had all of these accountability partners, from Hussein to Megan Jimenez, Eric Severson, Van Lai Dumont, all these people during those periods where I wanted to quit, get on the phone with me and just told me, you have to stick with it. Recently posted this African proverb that I think is really powerful. And it's something that I remind myself once in a while. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think about my entrepreneurial journey, right? When I was first launching Community of Seven, I met monthly with Tracy Admin from Troop HR and David Berkowitz from Serial Marketers. And so I think this conversation, I think, is really going to be helpful, especially for those of us, because you all know that I'm an introvert, that I tend to try to do things by myself, right? When I first launched Community of Seven, I was able to launch so fast because I literally did everything. I posted, I was the person posting, I was the one that built the website. I did all of these different things. But there comes a point in your journey where, in order to grow and in order to get to the next level of where you want to be in life, you need other people. I have Regina, who helps me out with like my social posts and all of these little logistical things that I can't do on my own. At some point, you can't, if you want to grow a business, if you want to just grow as a person, you need to lean on other people. I'm so excited to introduce Albana Tika. She is the Senior Director of Data and Analytics at New York City Health and Hospitals, where she leads corporate and financial analytics. She has over 12 years of experience in finance, operations, and strategy leadership roles. She is a champion for women in finance and tech. She's a mother of two and a passionate vocalist. She brings a unique perspective to the world of mutual accountability partners. And next we have Maureen Helene Kennedy Payne. She serves as the Senior Director of Operations and Community at New York Life Ventures, New York Life. Her career journey includes stints at international banking and the not-for-profit sector. She's a devoted mother of two. Maureen Helene is exploring her green thumb right now and nurturing her homegrown herb garden in sunny Florida. So welcome. Hello, ladies. So glad to have you here. And I'll also note, I met you guys through one of our first, when I first had launched this whole Community of Seven microlearnings, you two were one of the first to attend. And I just remember vividly just going through that whole period and seeing your beautiful faces similar to these calls. And then Maureen Helene later joined one of our core groups, and Albana is as a supporter member. So glad to have you here. First, maybe we'll start off with maybe Albana, and then Maureen Helene can kind of chime in. Tell us a little bit more about yourself beyond the CV. You guys have an incredible kind of work history, but beyond that. And tell us about how you two met and became mutual accountability partners for each other. And if you can just define what the heck is a mutual accountability partner?
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much, Lan. Thank you for having us here. Like you mentioned, it was through the community of seven that we met you. And I feel like I owe a lot to Marie Helene because she's introduced me to so many things in my life, in my career. And I am so grateful that she's my accountability partner. And a little bit about myself. I actually migrated from Albania at the age of 17. So I came here on my own. I was an exchange student and initially lived in Kentucky for a year. I finished my high school and then I moved to New York City where I did my undergrad and then I did my MBA afterwards. My career led me to work in a retail bank initially, and then I moved to the healthcare industry where I worked in finance for 12 years. And currently, I lead data and analytics. And all of these is important to note because all of these transitions and pivots in my life happened because I was able to meet people, women, men who supported me along the way and made it possible for me to make a career transition or be successful in my journey. And then I am also, in addition to that, I am the president-elect for the Financial Women's Association, which is an organization, a nonprofit organization for women in finance, one of the largest actually in New York City, although we are going global. And through this organization, I met Marie Helene. And a little bit about how I joined FWA, or the Financial Women's Association. I was working for my prior employer for 12 years, and I had an amazing mentor and supporter, this woman, her name is Susan. She was my mentor, my supporter, my ally. She helped me break into middle and senior level management. But then after a long period at my company, she decided to leave. And so I was left with no support, or my biggest ally left the company. And I found myself really not knowing anyone externally outside of my company. And I wanted to meet more people in my area, in my line of work. So I Googled women in finance at the time, and FWA came up. I signed up. And Marie Helene, I got my first welcome message from Marie Helene, who was the membership and engagement committee chair for FWA. We had one phone call, and somehow I felt very connected with Marie Helene. But I'd love for her to tell her journey so that you all can understand how much in common we have as individuals and how that helped us come together and become accountability partners.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Albana. You are going to hear a lot of commonalities as I'm going to share a little bit of my story. So I grew up in a bicultural family. So on the other side of the pond, as we like to say here, I was born and predominantly raised in France. And I also grew up in Scotland. That's where my mother's from. And I came to the States in the early 2000s to go to grad school. And professionally speaking, so I was an international student. So shout out to any international students out there. But I really used this moment in grad school to pivot career-wise. I had started working in international diplomacy and just had a realization of sorts during grad school that I wanted to try something different. And so I moved into the private sector and worked in international banking in different countries, New York and London primarily, and then moved into the venture capital space. So that's within New York Life Ventures, we're more in contact with the startup ecosystem, if you will, from investing and partnering and so forth. But as Lan mentioned, I also had this hiatus where I was also exploring. I took a break in between. I was focusing on the family. I volunteered with the FWA and worked more into the nonprofit sector. And the reason why really I joined the FWA, it was really when I started working in banking. I was the first person in my family that had went abroad to study, wanted to start a career abroad as well. And I was also the first woman to actually go to explore a corporate career. So I heard so much about financial services, and there's not that many women out there, and the glass ceiling and all those kind of things you hear. So to me, it was really important that I build a network and really find other women that I could just be inspired from within the financial services sector. So that's really how, first of all, the Financial Women's Association came to me, or I came to them. And really just this idea of giving back has always been just so powerful to me. Just combining those together was just a great fit for me with the FWA. And as Albana mentioned, I've taken on different roles of volunteering with the FWA throughout my career journey, but it's really been amazing growth and learning opportunities personally, but also professionally. Certainly one of the most engaging roles I took on was chairing membership and engagement, where I did meet Albana, because it just gave me an opportunity to meet with members, understand what their needs were, what were they looking for with an organization like the FWA, and that's how we came to meet. But one little detail that Albana forgot to mention is that we have another commonality, is that we're two moms of children who are relatively the same age. My daughter Julia is 10, and I have a son Gabriel who's 7. And Albana, you have two other ones as well, little rascals of your own who are in costumes today as well, right?
Definitely, yes. My son Leo, he's 9, and Emily is 6, so very close in age. But how did we come to become accountability partners? Like I said, I joined FWA because I was looking to meet other women in finance. And so Marie Helene was there for me. I poured my heart and soul with FWA, and I became actually a co-chair for membership and engagement with Marie Helene. And so the journey began. The two of us were meeting with members and lots of people during that time. This is the time when we actually met Lan and the community of 7, got to meet a lot of people outside of my industry, or our industries really, and a lot of people in communication and marketing, which gave me a totally different perspective in life and in the career choices that I was making. And then I successfully made a transition into data and analytics eventually, but not before Marie Helene and I, because we both had the same goal. We both wanted to find our next roles and our next careers. That's when we created this mutual accountability partnership.
Yeah, and so I'm just going to touch on that, because from my personal standpoint, I said earlier on, I was going through this journey of self-discovery. I took a hiatus. I was with the family. As Albana mentioned, this all happened in 2020. COVID hit, right? We were at home, kids were at home. And from where I was standing, I was really in this mindset of testing and learning. I tried some entrepreneurial ventures, like with short-term rentals, private lending. I was doing some contracting in the nonprofit space. But one of the things that I felt, this may resonate with some parents here, but like one of the things that was really comforting to me during this whole phase of testing and learning and trying to self-discovery, as Albana mentioned, it was that I had ironically, a really good structure at home with caring for the kids. And so that helped me to crystallize in my mind what I wanted to do next. And as Albana mentioned, we were partnering on the membership and engagement side with the FWA, and that allowed us also to get to know each other a bit better. But it was also that moment where personally I discovered there was a lot of this building of community that was very important in corporate America. And there was also a lot of women leaving the workforce, as we just touched on. And to me, I saw that almost, given that I had a structure at home, I saw this as an opportunity for me. And that's why I decided I'm going to look for a role full-time in the corporate sector again. That was where Albana and I had that commonality. And we just realized we have both a common goal, and we have these mutual, how do I say this? We just know what we're wanting to do. So then let's partner on this.
It also makes me think job hunting is probably one of the loneliest things you can do just as an adult, right?
Yes.
Lonely, discouraging, the rejections. And I feel like having an accountability partner, just being able to talk to someone probably was really helpful. So if you guys can maybe explain a little bit more, what's the difference between an accountability partner and, let's say, a mentor or a coach? How is that different?
You want to take on that, Albana?
Sure, yeah, I can take that on. An accountability partner is someone who, it's usually a friend, typically a friend or someone that you feel comfortable with, that helps you stay on track with your goals, with your commitments and your actions. And they are there for emotional support. This could be a short-term or a long-term relationship if it happens that it grows into a long-term relationship. But a mentor, the dynamics of that relationship are different. Usually, a mentor is somebody who's more experienced, more knowledgeable than a mentee. They can provide advice from their experience so that you can grow personally and professionally. So the relationship is not equal per se, because you are looking up to a mentor and learning from that person instead of exchanging both ideas at the same level. So it's a more holistic relationship, and the mentor is there to guide you and focus and help you focus on a goal that you both have discussed together. And then there is also a difference between what a mentor is and what a coach is. And Marie-Helene will touch upon what is that difference between having a mentor or a coach.
Yeah, so the coach, the way that we look at it is more, first of all, he's a trained professional, right, in the subject matter, and really working more on a transactional basis, if you will, to help set and achieve goals, where the accountability partner is also just one more point on the coach. The goals can be short term, but can be also very long term, right? You hire a coach and it's really oftentimes it's to look at very long term goals as well. So whereas the accountability partner, the way that we look at it, it's that it's really for a very short term, helping to stay commitment and on track with a very specific goal that you've set yourself. We've actually taken this notion to another level where we feel like accountability partnering is really an essential, very powerful tool. But the fact that we felt made it extremely successful in our experience was because we had that mutual goal that we wanted to achieve as well.
Exactly. And so just to add on that, just by talking and having conversations with each other, we coined this term, which is the MAP, mutual accountability partner, because we wanted to take this accountability a little bit to the next level. So the characteristics of the mutual accountability partnership, or MAP, are, three that we have identified so far. One, there is a common goal from both parties, from both the partners in this relationship. So the goal has to be a common goal and you both agree on it. Two, both are equal partners, which means that you're equal in the level of standing of where you are with your goals. It doesn't mean that one person could be more experienced than the other, but you both you treat each other equally. And then the third thing is having this mutual respect. I think respect and being kind to each other is a big part, especially in a world where, frankly, I've seen where women or people don't like to help each other, or there is this inadvertent competition between people. And so that has to stay away. There is always this mutual respect. We're not in competition with each other. We're here to help each other and have each other's backs. And I think that's a very important characteristic in having a mutual accountability partner.
I know you two found each other through the Financial Women's kind of association that you are a part of, but two questions. What qualities or characteristics should people who are watching this right now look for in a potential accountability partner? And second part of that question, which is interrelated, how do you find them? So today, hopefully some of you guys will find each other through the comments and the chats if you're looking for accountability partner. What are the places that you can find like these partners?
Do you want to take that, Albana? I can give it a shot. Yeah, now for sure, the first thing, and I love the fact that, Lan, you asked people in the comments to share really what people are looking to get here on this show, because one thing that I did notice that there are a couple of people here who are looking to build their personal brand. And I think that's a really excellent starting point. When you see that commonality of the goal, that's a really good starting point to begin with. But when Albana was touching actually on the concept of mutual respect, being equal partners, I did want to highlight something here. She had great points to share about the characteristics of that, but it was also, we understood each other. We were both moms, we had both young children, and we also had that respect of an understanding of what that means. So when we had set our schedule, agreeing together to get together every Friday morning, because that was the day that worked best, kids were not around, or it was early in the morning, there were not going to be any meetings or distractions, we held ourselves mutually accountable, to be there on time and to have an agenda ready and to not waste the time, to really have that respect, because we understood, again, more the bigger picture of where we were coming from. Does that make sense, Albana?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, we created this meeting session, which we called power meetings, because we are powerful women, and so are you. And we met every Friday at morning at 8 a.m. And we really talked about what is our vision, where are we with our goals, and how do we move it along into our job search. And then I also want to highlight a couple of things because it takes a little bit of a different mindset when you're finding an accountability partner. And one of that is, one, you have to understand that change is constant and you have to embrace change because, you know, as I mentioned, life is not linear. It's a non-linear life, and it will give you things that you're not expecting. So having that constant change mindset and adapting to change is very important. Another characteristic is being proactive. You have to take the initiative to go out there and find an accountability partner because they're not going to find. You have to go and look for the communities and the people. It could be your best friend, it could be your husband, it could be your neighbor, it could be anyone, but you have to put yourself proactively out there and make sure that you are talking about what your goals are so that other people listening can hear and say, oh, I have the same goals as you, and they can partner with you.
It's a great point. And I'll share an example. That was another accountability partnership that I formed here in Florida. So I relocated last year, and it's a very different lifestyle, of course, than New York City. To Lan's point, I wasn't moving a lot. I needed to get my body more active. So I took the initiative to sign up with the gym. And it was just not doing it what I needed to because I was trying to go to the swimming pool. I was just not motivated. And I just spoke out. I spoke out to the friends I made during the classes that I took in the gym. And I was just sharing how I was really trying to motivate myself. And that's where one person at my gym said, oh, you've got to talk to Katie because Katie actually is also a mom. Her kids go to the same school as your kids. And she was a former swimmer. So she's also trying to get in shape. And what did I do? I took her number. I reached out to her. I said, can you be my accountability partner? And so silly, but that's how it worked. And we are going swimming every Wednesday morning now in the swimming pool. So it really holds, again, it's about taking the initiative, just getting out there and actually daring to ask, because what I was really surprised to hear about is when I messaged Katie and I said, hey, look, I'm trying to get motivated to go swimming once a week at least. And guess what she said? Oh my gosh, me too. So it was just the perfect fit. Again, just not being shy to just throw yourself out there and just ask. The worst that can happen is just maybe someone saying no.
And what's so funny because like making friends as you're older becomes so much harder. Like I know when I go to school or I'm at the school bus stop for my daughter, I just feel so awkward. I'm like, like it's almost like you're dating again, and you have to train yourself to just be out there, right? And a lot of that is just the stories you say in your head, right? That I'm awkward. What do I say next? But part of it is putting yourself out there, seeing who you can really click with, right? So what are some effective strategies for maintaining a successful accountability partnership over time? And how do you establish clear goals and expectations when partnering with someone for accountability? I know you guys had like this weekly call. What are some of the other tips or tricks you can maybe give to people who are maybe thinking of launching their own kind of accountability partner?
Yeah, and I can chime in there. I think accountability partners are not necessarily long-term partners, but they can be because the goals are short-term. You have a goal, for example, finding your next job. That is a 3 to 6 months goal. Once you are done with that goal, the accountability partners either have to find another goal to focus on, or that relationship could just dissolve into just being friends and you're no longer accountability partners, and you have to find someone else who has the same interest and goals as you do. In our case, we were pretty lucky because even once we both landed our jobs, we really wanted to continue this partnership. So, we thought about it. Okay, what's the next goal in our list to pursue? And we both wanted to get healthy. And so getting healthy included doing some exercise on a regular basis. So it's interesting because my goal after that was to run a marathon. I've always wanted to do it. I live in New York City. I see the marathon runners every year, and I really wanted to accomplish that goal. So Marie-Helene and I used to get on a call almost every morning, 3 times a week. At 8 o'clock, after dropping our kids to school, we would get on a call and we would run separately because we don't live close by. And so I was running in a park next to my house. She was running in the park next to her house. But we were while we were on the phone, because otherwise none of us would get the motivation to go running. It's a really challenging mindset to do it. So I think if you continue the relationship, there has to be a mutual goal. That is an important thing. Having that common goal is very important. You have to be very goal focused, meaning you both have to agree that this is a goal that you are going to accomplish, and you have to be focused on it and not lose focus. I think sometimes it happens that because it's a long-term goal, like a marathon, for example, for me was a very long-term goal. I had to train for a whole year. And I don't think we could have sustained that, because then Marie-Helene moved to Florida and I was in New York, but she wanted to do swimming and I wanted to do running. So I think what happened is that we continued that because we committed to have that goal accomplished. So what I did, I would send text messages to Marie-Helene every morning that I accomplished my running that morning. Or she would check on me and say, hey, did you do your run this morning? So just having that person check on you every day makes you want to do it and keeps you accountable. So there are so many ways, once you commit, there are so many ways to keep each other accountable, even though you're not physically located in the same place.
To come back to your question, Lan, about what we did, right? Like to your point, we had set up a structure where we said, let's meet up regularly, right? To achieve that goal of landing a job. So we set these meetings every Friday morning for an hour, and we committed to that. It happened a few times where I was having a situation, but I organized my life around the fact that this was a critical meeting for me to reach that goal. And therefore, if there were any setbacks or issues around the timing, I would do everything I possibly could to make sure I was going to be there all the time. We also set specific agendas, right, ahead of the meeting to understand after each meeting, okay, what did we get out of this meeting? What are our goals for the next one? So that we really created this, not only a cadence, but also just basically the virtues of compounding, right? Like you're progressing. And we always left time, right, in the beginning of the meeting to give a summary of how that week went, because we would also talk about our setbacks. And I think that was really critical for us. As you said, right, it's a lonely journey. So part of that loneliness comes with just getting demoralized, depressed, because you're going through setbacks. And it was going through just getting those setbacks out of the way and processing it and actually looking at it as the learning journey that came with it. What did we learn from that? And how are we going to move forward? So it was also not just like the goal itself, it was just also in terms of the mental strength that we built with each other by keeping that frequency, that cadence and momentum.
I love that. My next question, and this is to Albana and Marie. Claire, so I don't know who wants to answer this. Have you encountered any challenges or drawbacks in your accountability partnership, and how did you address them?
Yeah, that is definitely a great question. I will say that at some point we had another person join our accountability group. And so it was 3 of us at some point. And I would say that for the relationship to be completely successful, I think you need 2 is the magic number. 3 is okay, but not always successful. I would say it's a better relationship if it's just 2 people in that relationship, because I think it's easier to hold each other accountable. Now, there were periods of times where we're done with our goals and we did take a break from this accountability partnership. But I think because we've developed this friendship and we came back to it again. And so it's okay to take a break from your accountability partner for a period of time. And it's okay to get back to it when you both discover that you still have things in common. I don't know, Marie-Helene, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Certainly, I'm seeing a very different dynamic from the discipline, the rigor that was in place with the setup and accountability partnership with Albana versus with Katie. And the reason being that I travel a lot more now. So when it comes to making sure, and she does as well. So that's more of it's definitely a challenge that we've encountered. It's just working. We've got kids and all the activities that happen with our kids and life. So we've taken more of an accountability partnership that's more flexible in nature when we meet up. So we make sure it's every week still, but it's not necessarily going to be that specific day of the week because, again, we've got these challenges with just life. But we do make sure that it's happening every week, right? When we're back, we just coordinate, like, when are you back? Okay, let's do it on a weekend then. And we just organize at home just to make sure that someone can take care of the kids so that we can do our swims. But yeah, but that's certainly one of the challenges that I find. So it's flexing a little bit the muscle of making it more agile with the accountability itself.
And I know you two are thinking about writing a book possibly, or doing kind of some project about these mutual accountability partners.
Listen, this accountability partnership is not a novel concept that we invented. It's been there forever. We just happen to fall into it and become accountability partners together. And I happened to present about it at another event. And it was amazing to hear how people from the audience just chimed in with their own personal journeys and accountability partnerships. And it was really great to hear different success stories from when people partner together. And just by talking to people, I think it's a great opportunity to learn from each other. And we would love for anyone who wants to get in touch with us to tell us their success stories, their accountability partnership stories. And sometimes you don't really realize you have an accountability partner until somebody says, talks about it. And then you realize that you do have someone or more than one person who holds you accountable. You just have to put it in words and formalize it. So we would love to hear your stories if you want to reach out to us.
Awesome. I love that. I do actually want to show you something. So there's a mutual accountability partner, it's a one-on-one, but there's also, I just want to kind of outline communities that are already out there. And I actually want to show you guys one of them. And this is my friend Hussein Albati created this one community, and it's on Circle. Let me share it with you right now. So this is the power of this kind of community. There's 200 different authors in this community who are just helping each other out. And I wanted to actually show you, I mentioned I was writing my book and I was deciding on the cover, and I literally was stuck. I emailed a whole bunch of friends. I think I emailed Albana. Like, I was emailing everyone. I was like, which one? And I was so stuck. And so I posted this on this community site, Rising Authors, and I got 40 comments from different authors. And amazing. The feedback was great. And what I ended up doing was I did a spreadsheet, and because I was deciding between the blue cover and the yellow cover. I had eliminated this cover just because people either loved it or hated it. And I ended up deciding on the yellow cover because of this community group, where literally got 40 responses. And I was like, okay, 30 liked the yellow comment and 20. And I was like, okay, I made my decision because I was stuck literally for months. In his community, there's authors can introduce themselves. They can do accountability parts. And I actually want to show you, I'm so excited. I haven't launched this yet, but you guys are hopefully going to be a part of this. I started a community page for Community of 7 that I'm going to launch next year, but probably start it with some beta people. But I actually created an accountability partner section. So if you're looking for accountability partner, or if you want to celebrate your win, or you want to showcase something that you're working on. So some of these communities, if you can't find it in the real world or through LinkedIn, there might be in a community that's already out there. And then you can, in those communities, find accountability partners.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, someone in the chat there mentioned about improving communication skills. And that's something certainly that I've been really working on personally from my perspective, professionally, like, it's just so important. And I joined Toastmasters. And to your point, Lan, it's a community, right? And that's the goal. It's to elevate each other by improving your public speaking skills. And through that community, I found my mentor, right? I call him my mentor, who helps me when I'm preparing my speeches just to give the feedback and keep me going. Spot on with that comment. Thanks for sharing.
As we wrap up, what is the one thing, I'm going to start with you first because you're on the screen right now. What is the one piece of advice you would give to the folks who are watching this who is thinking of creating a mutual accountability partner or whatnot, what's a one takeaway from this call?
Yeah, I would just say, just be daring to ask. That would be my big advice. It's just be open to sharing what you're trying to do with people around you, and just dare to ask. If you found someone that you feel you would really build a good accountability partnership with, just ask.
I love that.
Yeah, and just to like piggyback on that, I actually wrote a LinkedIn post a while back because I have this thing that I say, be uncomfortable with being comfortable. Because once you get uncomfortable with your life, with your job, with anything in life, that's when you lose track of what's important in your life. And so get uncomfortable when you see yourself getting comfortable, and just go out there and reach out to people, find people, talk, put yourself out there. And that's the only way to accomplish your goals, I think, through people. You cannot do it alone.
I love that. And speaking of reaching out to people, I put up this slide where you can reach out to Albana and Maureen, Helene, if you're thinking of creating an accountability group, or if you want to actually share your story about accountability partner, of how it's changed your life, if you can share it as well. And maybe you can be in their future book or project that they're working on, but you can find them here on LinkedIn. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming today. I think this is really powerful. Like, I've actually been working on used to doing things alone. And I think part of that is a cultural thing of just that independence, of the lone wolf mentality, of not depending on people, of moving fast. And the thing is, it might work in the short term, but you're going to hit a wall at some point, right? Or you're not going to be like the whole thing with notion of motivation, like even exercise, right? You're motivated for the first week, you get excited, you go every day, but then you need something to get you there further. And I think this whole notion of having an accountability partner, especially when you're starting a business and you have the same goals, it's so powerful. So I just really want to thank you two for joining us today. And everyone, thank you for joining today's call. If you can unmute yourself, and a round of applause for these ladies, Albana and Maureen, Helene. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys find your accountability partners. And it's like they said, just ask, right? Just ask. Okay. Thanks
so much.
Thanks, Lan. Thanks, everyone.
Bye,
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.